Hello, hi everyone. Am I audible? So, ace your term 2 exams with Unacademy Plus. So, Unacademy Plus subscription at flat 10% off. Let me just check if I'm audible. So, welcome to class. Before I start, let me introduce myself. I am Vani Kari, biology educator at Unacademy. I am an engineer with bachelor's and master's degree in biotechnology and a B.Ed degree. Also a founder of a startup where I grow microgreens by vertical farming technology. So what we are going to study today, so it is basically the structure of eyeball. So last class we saw the first we started with the structure of a neuron, okay, then we saw the central nervous system, that is brain and spinal cord, okay. So now, like in the last class, we were discussing about the reflexes, the peripheral nervous system and other things, okay. And today we are just moving on to the sense organ. Their eyeball is given, so this is there in your syllabus, and with this, so we will be studying the different structures what are there, like associated layers what are there, so we will just see that. And other than that, you know that, so here the ear organ, okay, so the sense organ which is ear, so we will be discussing about that also. So today's class, it is only about the structure of eyeball. The defects and all we will see in the upcoming classes. And this is my referral code Vani YT, okay, for 10% discount. You can also follow us on Unacademy Champions. This is on Telegram, okay. So you need to follow the Unacademy Champions. Link you will find in description box, okay. Just a second. I don't know. Okay, so subscribers on YouTube now, let's target about 1000 subscribers. So you will be getting the bell icon also, so there you can press it, and you will be getting the notification whenever there is a class start, okay. Let me just check. So there is some problem with my internet, maybe. Let me just check this one. Am I audible? This is not working today. I don't know what is wrong. Yeah, right, okay. So yes, 1 second. Yeah, right, okay. So yes, 1 second. Yeah, so eyes, when we mention, so these, you know that these are located in the orbit, so you need to know the locations here, okay. So mainly we need to study about the eye location, the function and all, so we will see what all will be there. So the two eyes are located, so this is the location, so you need to know the location, okay. So eye, when we mention, so you need to know the functions associated, the conditions, like what we call, so if there is any defect, so defects of the eye you need to know. Then structure of a eyeball, so you need to draw also, diagrammatic sketch is also given, so all this you need to know. Now starting with the location, so located in the deep socket, so this you need to start with, okay. So this is located in the deep sockets or orbits on the front side of the head, so this is the front side, so front side you will find this particular eye location, okay. 1 sec. All right, yeah. So now when we mention, so each eye is in the form of a ball, so you know that the structure of a ball, eyeball we will mention, right. So it is in the form of a ball itself and can be rotated with the help of 6 muscles. So there is a muscle attachment over here, here, and then 2 over here and 2 over here, okay. So there is a muscle attachment which will be there, so from every corner, so there will be an attachment for the rotation of this particular eye, okay. So it is is basically the eyeball is attached, not like on the front side itself, so you can't see those muscles, so they are attached. So there will be a particular muscle cells or muscular tissue which will be attaching onto the eye. So there is some video problem is there, right? Just a second, and let me just check it. So there is a video. Is it fine now? Yeah, I think it is fine. All right. So eyelids, when we mention, so these are the upper and lower movable eyelids. So there is a upper eyelid and lower movable eyelid, protect our front surface of the eye. So you can see this is the eyelid now. Okay, so there is the eyelid. So this is gonna protect your upper, like the upper surface of eye, what is there. Okay, so that can be protected. So protect our front surface over here. So upper surface, what is there, so and the lower surface, to some extent the protection is provided to the eye. All right, so next they can shut out the light. So whenever there is too much of light, so these eyelids will close so that the passing of this light through our lens, so that can be stopped. Okay, so each eyelid carries outwardly curved eyelashes. So these are the eyelashes now. Okay, which prevent falling of larger particles into the eye. So what happens, there might be larger particles which are associated. Okay, so there might be a larger particle. So let's say, so to some extent they are going to prevent these particles falling into eye. Okay, so other than that, the eyebrows, when we mention, so these are virtually not a part of a eye. Okay, so yet these are also protective. So they prevent the raindrop or the trickling perspiration from getting into the eye. So let's say you are sweating, okay, or if it is raining, so to some extent these are going to prevent the eyebrows what are there, so they'll be preventing them from falling into your eyes. Okay, so other than that, the lacrimal gland, so you can see here it is situated. So again the location you need to know. Okay, so location with respect to eye. All right, then location of this lacrimal gland, so located at the upper sideward. Okay, so this is located at the upper sideward portion of the orbit. So this is upper sideward portion of the orbit. So there are about 6 to 12 ducts of the gland pour the secretion over the front surface. Now let me just draw it here. Okay, so let's say this is the eye now. Okay, why is it not writing? Yeah, so here is the eye. Okay, and here the eyebrow is there, and you can find there is a location of lacrimal gland. So this one is now a lacrimal gland. Okay, so this is the lacrimal gland, and then this is having how many ducts? So there are about 6 to 12. So let's draw 6 ducts over here. So there are 6 ducts, 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so 5 and 6, so there are basically 6 ducts. So through these ducts itself, so these are the ducts. Okay, so through the ducts itself the secretion of the tear is done. So tear secretion is done through these ducts. Okay, so 6 to 12 ducts of the glands pour the secretion over the front surface. So this is the front surface now. So here itself the secretion, that is tear, is poured. Okay, then what else is the use of this particular lacrimal gland? So movement of the eyelids, that is blinking. Okay, so when you are blinking, what happens? So this particular tear, what is that? So it will be acting as a lubricant. Okay, so whenever the eyelids are moving, so spread the liquid, so that is basically tear, which mainly serves as a lubricant. Okay, so now moving on to the next part. So tears also keep the front surface of the eye. Now there is a front surface. Okay, so whenever there might be any dust particles, so these are washed away. Okay, so washing away of dust particle, it is also done by a tear itself. So basically it is providing you the protection. All right, then they also have an antiseptic property. So what does the tear contain? It contains an enzyme called as lysozyme. Okay, so you know that lysozyme can kill the germs. Okay, so it will be secreting the hormone. So basically lysozyme itself is a hormone, this is an enzyme now. Okay, So not the hormone, sorry. So this is an enzyme. So lysozyme is an enzyme. So basically enzyme secretion what occurs. So this is gonna act on the germs. Okay, so maybe it can prevent them or it can degrade the cell wall of a particular pathogen. Okay, so it is gonna work on the cell wall, or it can be completely releasing a particular enzyme and it is going to engulf that germ. So that can also happen. So not the engulfing of a germ anyway. So what usually happens, so let's say this is an enzyme now. Okay, so there is an enzyme and the germ is gonna attach. So what will happen, so these two are gonna react, and this particular bacteria, or let's say any pathogen, so this will degrade, or it can also make a holes, or it can degrade the cell wall of this particular bacteria and it can kill it. Okay, so basically killing of the germs is done through this lysozyme. Okay, then other than that, the tear duct. Okay, so there are tear ducts which drain off the liquid into sac lying at the inner angle of the eye. Okay, so you can see that the ducts are there. Okay, so here the ducts will be there which are pouring the tear into the eye. All right, so after that, now there is an angle, so where it has to grow, so there is a nasolacrimal duct. So you can see this one, a lacrimal sac is mentioned over here. Okay, so then there is a lacrimal duct, lacrimal duct is there, lacrimal sac. So you can see that the tear duct, what are there, so they drain off the liquid into a sac. So there is a sac over here, so it is going to the sac, okay, lying on the inner side. Then there is a nasolacrimal duct. So now here also there are ducts which are collecting this tear. So any excess amount of tear what is there, so that tear is collected into this sac. Sac means it is a bag. Okay, so it is like bag like structure will be there. So basically it is collected here, then it will be connecting with the nasolacrimal duct. Okay, so nasolacrimal duct conducts the secretion into nasal cavity. So you might have observed whenever you are crying. Okay, so let's say you are crying, so in those cases you will find the pouring of liquid from your nose also as well, and since you are crying, so obviously from here also the tears are rolling down. But why do you think that the nose also start pouring down? It is mainly because of this nasolacrimal duct itself. So nasolacrimal duct, what is that, so it is going to collect this particular fluid, that is basically tear, so and through the nose it is coming out. So it is connected with the throat also, so there is a connection with the throat also. So you will find your throat also somewhat pouring. Okay, so here in this case the duct is going to collect the tears. Okay, and then it is the lacrimal sac, and from lacrimal sac it is entering the nasolacrimal duct. Okay, so all of us have sometimes experienced that medicines dropped in the eyes come into the nose or even into the throat. Okay, so you know that this nasolacrimal duct, so it is having a connection with the throat as well as the nose. Okay, so this happens through above mentioned duct. So this is the one which is carrying the secretion to the nose also and also to the throat. Okay, so due to irritation or in certain emotional states, the tear glands pour out a lot of liquid, okay, which waters the eyes or overflow as tears. So you may shed tears both in grief as well as in extreme joy. So this is basically under the control. So whenever you are too much excited or you are too happy, or let's say you are sad, so this particular gland, what is there, so it will start secreting lots of tear. So function of tear when we mention, so it is to lubricate the surface of eye, wash away the dust particles, helping killing of the germs, communicate the emotion. So all these functions are done by the tears. Clear? Any doubt here? Alright, so conjunctiva, I don't see your chats. Okay, so yeah, so conjunctiva is a thin membrane. Okay, so there is a thin membrane which is covering the entire front part of the eye. Okay, so entire front part of the eye if you cover here, so you can just have a look here. So this one over here, with this you can clearly see, so this one is actually the conjunctiva here, conjunctiva. So you can see this front part over here, so this is actually the conjunctiva which is lined like that. Okay, So here the conjunctiva, when we mention, so it is a thin membrane covering the entire front part of the eye. Okay, so it is continuous on the inner. So basically it is not like it is suspended like that. Okay, so it is continuation with the inner lining of the eyelid, that is over the cornea. So over the cornea we will find this particular covering. Okay, so it is reduced to a single layer of transparent epithelium. So what happens is, so what with this one conjunctiva, when we mention, so let's say this is a conjunctiva now, so this will be only a thin membrane will be there. Okay, so this thin membrane, what is there? So it is a epithelium. Okay, so it is a epithelial cell, it is, but it is only one single layer. Okay, so that means there is no multiple cells here, only one layer of a cell. So let's say this is one now, so it will be having only one layer of a cell like this. Okay, so only one layer of a cell will be there in this particular conjunctiva. So then you must have often heard about the common eye disease, that is conjunctivitis. So what exactly is this conjunctivitis? In which the outermost layer, so this is the outermost one, which spread due to viral infection. So if there is any viral infection, okay, so in those conditions, so this is with respect to viral infection. Okay, so what can happen? So this part, what is there? So there will be lot of blood supply, so there is a chance that this can turn red. Okay, so the bony orbit socket, eyebrows, tear glands and conjunctiva serve for the protection in their own way. So all of this, that is the orbit or a socket, what we mentioned, the eyebrows, the tear glands, all right, and also the conjunctiva, so all these are having a main role in function of protection itself. So now let's see the structure of the eyeball. Okay, so you can see here there is a suspensory ligament, lens, retina, yellow spot, optic nerve. So we will see the structure of eye today. Okay, so let's see how much we can cover. So next class I'll be covering the defects. So now the wall of the eyeball is composed of 3 concentric layers. So you need to draw the layers here. Okay, so since they have given 3 layers, okay, so let's say you can see here how many layers that they have drawn. So this is 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this one is again very important as according to your ICSE evaluation. Okay, so what they will do is, so they will observe like how many layers you have drawn. So 3 if it is given, so you need to draw 4 lines here. So 4 lines need to be drawn. So this is one, the outermost sclerotic is there. So next to that you will find this one, a choroid, and after that you will find a retina. So this is one layer now, this is another layer, and then there is another layer. Okay, so these are the layers which are there. So if you draw only 3 lines, because 3 layers are there, if you are drawing only 3 layers, what will happen? So one layer is considered as absent. So that is why the 4 layers. So you can also see here one, okay, here itself, one over here, second one, the third one, and then the fourth one. So 4 layers that they have drawn. So you need to be very careful while you draw this particular structure of an eyeball. Alright, so now moving on to the sclerotic or a sclera, or we can also mention as a sclerotic. So it is made up of a tough fibrous tissue. So there is a tough fibrous tissue which is white in color. So let's say this is now a sclera, the outermost one. Okay, so this is made up of tough fibrous tissue. Alright, so now one second. Yeah, so this will be of tough fibrous tissue now. Then what will happen? So this white portion of the front of the eye is sclerotic layer. Okay, so this is the white portion, and on the front of the eye sclerotic layer itself visible through the conjunctiva. So what you see, the white portion, what you see there, so it is actually you are seeing a sclera. Okay, so through the conjunctiva, so it is a transparent membrane. So you can see that the conjunctiva is basically a transparent membrane. So transparent covering will be there, and what you see, this white portion of your eye. Okay, so this white portion of eye is basically the sclera. Okay, so white portion of your eye, what you find, I mean see. Okay, so this is actually the sclera or a sclerotic layer. All right, so now Then this is done, so visible through the conjunctiva. So it bulges out and it becomes transparent in the front region. Okay, so it is bulging out and it is becoming transparent. Okay, in the front region where it covers the colored part of the eye. So you can see this white part is there, so it is bulging. Okay, and then it has become a transparent one. So this part is called as a cornea. So let me just draw this one. Maybe I can explain it to you here itself. Okay, so now this is the sclera layer. Okay, so there is a sclera. So what we need to draw, so there are this ligament what they have shown. Okay, so this supportive structure you need to draw anyway. Okay, so that you will be drawing. 1 second, or maybe we can just instead of, so let's just ignore that. Maybe you can draw it as such also. So I'll just erase this all. Okay, so now what you need to do is you need to draw a structure of eye. So let's say this is an eyeball. Okay, so in the front part you will find this bulging. Okay, so there is a bulging and then it is continued like this. So this is continued as such. So here what you find, so there is a optic nerve. Okay, so you'll find this optic nerve over here. So this one is now so this is now a sclera. Okay, so this is a sclera now. Okay, so this is actually bulge like this. All right, so ball shaped structure you will find, and you will find there is a optic nerve which is like this. All right, so now in this case the bulged part what is there, so that we call as the cornea. Okay, so there is cornea over there. All right, so I'll just draw this one. Let's just start it with this. So this one, so whenever we are drawing this sclera, so we need to draw so 2 layers. So we will be starting with 2 layers. So let me just draw one more layer over here. So this will be the sclera. Okay, so the part what is there, so this is the outer layer. Okay, okay, so this is actually the sclera. So this whole part what is there, so this is sclera. Okay, and in the front you will find this bulged part. Okay, it is a transparent one, and this one is actually the cornea. Okay, so there is cornea. So next to that we will see, so it bulges out and becomes transparent in the front region where it covers the colored part of the eye. So this is called as a cornea. So sometimes the cornea of a certain patient turns opaque, so that will turn white, so it will be transparent and it is turning white and it is non-functional. So in such cases defective cornea, so whenever defective cornea is there, so it can be replaced. Okay, so it can be replaced by a healthy cornea from a donated eye. So we can, so let's say somebody is donating eye, so we can just take up this cornea part and we can replace, so we can take up this cornea part which is working in a healthy individual, so that we can take and we can give it to a blind person. So this is basically for donation. So after the death usually eye donation is done, so in those cases also it can be done, or it can be, so from one single cornea itself many eyes can be corrected. Okay, so that can also be done. So now moving on to the choroid layer. So you know that it is richly supplied with the blood vessels. Okay, so that is providing, in order to provide. So why there is usually blood vessels? So it is always the blood vessels are there. So that is to provide a nourishment to the eye. Okay, so it contains a dark and black pigment also. So that is basically the melanin pigment which prevents the light rays from reflecting. and scattering inside the eye. So there is this particular second layer what is there. Okay, so you can have a note here. So second layer what is there, the choroid. Okay, so this will be actually having a melanin, and also what it does, it is having the structure or a compound or a pigment, we can say melanin will be there, so which is gonna prevent the reflection and scattering of the eye, I mean light inside your eye. Okay, so now this choroid expands to form the ciliary body containing the circular muscle. The smooth muscles in the ciliary body are the ones which are going to alter the shape of the lens. Okay, so now here you can see that there is a iris also. So iris is also an extension of the choroid itself. So let's say this one. So let's say here we are drawing a choroid. Okay, so we are drawing this choroid over here. So this one is now a choroid. Okay, so next layer what is there, which is richly supplied with the blood vessels. Okay, so here also there is a choroid. Okay, so it is connecting over here itself, so there is a choroid. So this choroid is having a ciliary body as such. Okay, so there is a ciliary body. Okay, so we will find the ciliary body somewhat like this. I am drawing it okay, and then there is this particular extension what we find. So there is a iris. Okay, so iris is there. So you can see here, so there is this particular ciliary body. Okay, so ciliary body you will find somewhat like this, and then there is a iris. So this bulge part what is there, so that is cornea. All right, and you will find there is a aqueous humor as well as the vitreous humor. So we will see this one. All right, so now this is the vitreous humor, and you will find this liquidy part what is there, so that is actually the aqueous humor. So iris what is there, so I'll just draw this one. I'll better change it a bit. Alright, so you can see here this choroid is coming. Okay, so choroid is basically richly supplied with the blood vessels. So there is a choroid over here, and what it does, it is basically forming the suspensory ligament, and then there is a retina. Okay, so let's draw the, okay, one second, I need to take the pointer. So what it can do is, so basically this structure is being formed. Okay, so there is this ciliary body somewhat like this. Okay, so there is a ciliary body which is there as such. Okay, so then here also from this side also we can find this ciliary body like structure. Okay, then what is happening, so this one is extending and it is forming a retina. Okay, so there is a retina formation over here. So this is a retina now, and this space what is this, so that will be filled with the structure. Okay, so here we have this aqueous humor, then there is vitreous humor, and this one is actually the retina now. Okay, so this structure what is there, so this we call as a ciliary body. So somewhat not so random, so we can just fill it up. Okay, so this will be completely filled with what, so this will be completely filled with the blood itself. Okay, so this will be completely filled with the, basically not the blood vessels will be there, that means blood supply is there. So this layer what is there, so this is choroid. All right, so this is now a choroid. So next what you find here is, so there is iris what they have mentioned. So in the front of the eye, the choroid expands to form a ciliary body. Okay, which will be having circular muscles. So there are circular muscles over there. Okay, so this will be made up of a circular muscles. So circular muscles will be there, that means it is a ciliary body. Okay, so this one is ciliary body. All right, so now this front part what is this, so this is actually the iris. All right, so I'll just write it as iris over here. So next after that, so smooth muscles in the ciliary body are the ones which are altering. So iris is an extension of the choroid itself, which is partially covering the lens. Okay, and leaving a circular opening in the center. So what is happening, so it is partially covering the lens there. Okay, so the blue, brown or whatever coloration what is there, so it is all because of the iris. So we say the black colored eye is there, or the blue colored eye, or it can be so what we blue colored, okay, so somewhat like we say cat eyes and all. So it is all based on what type of a muscle or a iris is present, okay. So this is covering the circular opening in the center, so that is pupil. So this gap, what is there, okay, so here this gap, what is there, so this gap over here, so that itself we mention as a pupil, okay. So pupil is basically, so it is when we saw, so it is, the name has been derived from the Latin word pupa. The meaning is doll, which in this context refers to a tiny image of oneself is reflected in another's eye. So if you look at another's eye, so let's say you are looking at someone, so you can see yourself in their eye, so that reflection or doll like, so that is why the name is given as such, okay. So circular opening in the center, so that opening which is there, so gap, what is this, so that is the pupil, okay. So now this iris contains a radial muscles to widen and circular muscles to constrict, okay. So there is this iris, what is there, so it will have radial muscles also, okay. So there is radial muscle and also there is circular muscle, okay. So circular muscle and a radial muscle we will find in case of this one, okay. So this is basically with respect to the sclera. One second. So here I have drawn it like this, okay. So it has to come this way, okay. So all this has to form this way, so all of them have to join in over here, okay. So now you can see, so next part, what is there, so we draw the pupil now, okay. So we drew the pupil, so adjustment of the size of the pupil regulates the amount of light that has to enter. So you can easily observe this by throwing. So let's say, so whenever your eyes, whenever your eyes are dilating or your eyes are constricting, so it is basically because of the radial muscles and the circular muscles which are there in the iris, so they are controlling the amount of light that has to enter through your eyes, okay. So now here the next part is retina, okay. So retina is the innermost layer which is sensitive to light, and it contains two types of sensory cells or sense cells which we call as rods and cones. So rod cells here, okay. So rod cells, what are there, so these are sensitive to dim light, and then there is cone. So this one, I'll just explain this. I'll draw this retina before. Okay, so you can see that there is a retina over here, okay. So this layer, what is that, this is retina, okay. Okay, we will draw a lens over here, okay. So lens is present in this particular position, all right. And this lens, what is there, so it is held in position by a suspensory ligament as well. So you can have a look look at this one. So this is now a suspensory ligament. So what is happening here, so this is now a ciliary body, okay. So this is a ciliary body, and here we will find there is a suspensory ligament which is holding on to, okay. So this part, maybe I can erase it and draw it a bit. Okay, so here suspensory ligament, what is this, so it is holding on to the lens. So we will see that when we study about the lens, okay. So here the lens will be there, so this is a lens now, okay. So there is a ciliary body, so you know this particular extension, what is that, so there is a ciliary body like this. So this is a ciliary body, okay. And then there is this particular iris, okay. So there is iris, and here also on the other side, so there is a ciliary body, okay. So this is now a ciliary body, and then there is this iris which is there, okay. So this one is now actually the lens. So we will draw the lens a bit bigger, okay. So that, one second, so we'll draw this lens a bit bigger. Okay, so this is lens, all right. So this one is now a circular muscle which is there in a ciliary body, and this what you find, so this is actually the iris, and then there is a pupil. Then next layer what is there, so it is joining in here itself, so there is a retina. Okay, so there is one more layer which we need to draw, so there is retina over here. So this is actually the retina. Okay, so there is retina which is coming over here. So all you could see here is, so or what you can see here is 4 layers. Okay, so 4 lines you need to draw. So this one, the center, which is richly supplied with the blood vessels, so this is will be supplied with the blood vessels now. Okay, so I'll just fill this one. The outermost what is there, so that is sclera. All right, so this is the structure. So you need to draw it perfectly here with using the pen tab. It is not coming well, but you need to try it, like you need to draw it round itself. Now it has become flat here. All right, so you can draw it clearly, because with this I am not able to draw. Okay, so yeah, so now moving on to the next part. So retina we were discussing. So retina, when we mention, so it is having the innermost layer which is sensitive to the light. So it will be having the rods and cones. So rod cells are basically sensitive to dim light. Okay, and they do not respond to color. So this is like whenever black and white you can see with the rods. Okay, then this is like black and white vision also we can mention. And the rod cells what are there, so rods will have this pigment, that is rhodopsin, or we can also call it as a visual purple. Okay, so rod cells are distributed almost throughout the retina. So throughout the retina you can find the rod cells. So somewhat like this. So rods, say, let's say rods are present over here. Okay, so to throughout this retina you will find these rod cells. Okay, so let's say this is a rod cell, so somewhat rod like. Okay, so maybe we can draw it some more like this. So throughout the retina you will find the presence of these rod cells. Okay, so these are rod cells, and here and there you will find the cones also. So let's say this is a cone now. Okay, so cones also you will find here and there. So there can be cones here and there, but throughout you will find more, you will find rod cells only. So there are rods also, and few cones also will be there. So here also it is the same. So you will find rod cells throughout this particular retina. All right, so now this is a rod over here. All right, and here and there you can find cones. So maybe we can draw few, 2 or more over here. So cones can also be there, but more you will find of a rod. So now the rods when we mention, so they will be of rhodopsin. Now cones when we mention, so inner ends are conical. So inner ends what are there? So they are conical. So these are sensitive to bright light. So this is basically for a color vision. This is black and white vision. Okay, and this is for color vision. All right, so they contain the pigment iodopsin will be there. So in cones we will find the pigment iodopsin. So the cells are mostly confined to the yellow spot. So we will draw this yellow spot here. Okay, so here the yellow spot is there. So this one is now a yellow spot. Okay, so this is yellow spot, and in yellow spot you will find more of cones. Okay, so cones we can find in yellow spot. The rod cell what are there, so this you will find in retina. Okay, so this layer what is there, so this is retina, and in the retina itself you will find these rod cells. So here also, so it is basically more of a rod cells itself. All right, and here in the yellow spot you will find this cone. So now moving on to the next one. Okay, so yeah, so rods and cones difference we will see. Okay, so rods and cones when we mention, so these are more numerous, this is less numerous. That means we will find more of a rod cells than a cone cell. Then mostly at the periphery of the retina, and this one is located in the center of the retina. So that is at the yellow spot. Then very sensitive to low levels of illumination, and this one only stimulates. So this gets, so it requires a large amount of light, bright light it requires. This one for this a very less. So like this one is night vision what we mentioned. Okay, so night vision or maybe twilight vision what we mentioned, so it will require very very less light. Okay, so very less light is required. As you can see that only the black and white vision is going to be because of this rods. Okay, cones, when we mention, it is giving us the colored vision. All right, so one type of rods only we can find, so there is no differentiation, so we can find only one particular color stimulated by most of visible light except the red. Then when we mention, so here three types of cones we can find, so each selectively responsive to different wavelengths, therefore allowing the color perception. So there is chromoplast, there is erythroplast. Okay, so different colors which can be there, so those we can find. So this is basically the pigments are there, so different pigments are giving this particular coloration. So when we mention chloro, it is giving a what we call green color. Erythro, when we mentioned, red coloration is brought about by, so different different colorations can be observed. So rapid generation of light sensitive pigment, therefore can perceive flicker well. Okay, so this is basically whenever you are in a light sensitive, so let's say you are in a light and suddenly you move to a dark region, so this needs to take, so this will take time to develop. When in case of cones, when we mention, so slower generation of light sensitive pigment, so therefore less responsive to flicker. Okay, so yellow spot we saw, so yellow spot is basically the area of best vision. Okay, so here I was drawing this diagram again, I'll go to that. So this one yellow spot is area of best vision it is. Okay, so why? Because you can find the images clearly, or the colorful images you can find mainly because of this yellow spot. So distribution of rods and cones is not uniform. Okay, so particular spot called macula lutea or pit, or that is macula is basically pit, luteum is yellow, or simply yellow spot, or we can also mention, so all these names you need to know. So fovea centralis, macula luteum, then yellow spot, so all these are the names for yellow spot itself. Okay, so this lies at the back of the eye, almost at the center on the horizontal axis of the eyeball. So this spot contains a maximum number of sensory cells. Okay, and particularly the cones will be there. So now when we mention yellow is having, this one is having, I have written here, you can see, so yellow spots will have more of a cones. Okay, it's not that only cone has to be there, so some few. Okay, so few rods also we can find. So here in case of retina, okay, so we can find more rod cells, but very few cone we can find in here also. Okay, so it's not that it will be completely rods and cones only. Okay, so this one is a yellow spot. So now moving on to yellow spot. Okay, so particularly as a result, this is the region of brightest vision and also of the color vision. So you are able to see particular colorful picture or something, so it is mainly because of this particular yellow spot itself. So the rest of the retina has fewer cones and more rods we will find. Okay, so yellow spot is the place of best vision. Okay, so the normal eye, when we mention, so this is the reason why you move your eye from word to word as you need a line that is through the printed. So this is mainly because of the yellow spot, which is having a best vision for a normal eye. Okay, so that is why we always read word to word, or what will happen, so we cannot read all at once, so that is word to word reading is done. So that is mainly because of the yellow spot. Then there is the area of no vision. So you can see here this particular spot, what is there. Okay, so this particular spot is considered the area of, or here it is given a yellow spot. Okay, so here it is shown as a yellow spot. So here this one, let's say, yeah, so better when you draw, no, you do better draw it over here. So yellow spot, I'll just show it to you better, you can mention it as in there itself. So instead of drawing it over here, maybe we can just draw this yellow spot over here. One second, let me just erase this part also. Okay, so this one you are drawing. Okay, so this is anyway there, so this is also there, and here this completely gone over. Okay, so anyway, so this one is also there. All right, so this when you draw, okay, so you need to bring it all over here. Okay, and there are many of this joining, and here you will find this one is actually the blind spot. And here also I need to draw. 1 second, I'll just erase this part. Okay, so this was actually the retina which is continuing as such. Okay, so this particular spot, what is this? So this is actually the blind spot. Okay, and here somewhere here you will find yellow spot. So this one is actually the yellow spot which you will find in the retina itself. Okay, so now in this case, you can see that the blind spot when we mention, so it is area of no vision. So lateral to the yellow spot on the nasal side is the blind spot. So there are no sensory cells, so there is no sensory cell itself, and therefore this is the point of no vision. Okay, so this is the point at which the nerve fibers from all sensory cells of the retina, they will converge and bundle together. So what is happening? So now let's say, so this is all the nerve fibers. So what was happening here? So you can see here I had drawn. Okay, so from these are all actually the cells. Okay, so that is neurons. These are sensory cells, means what? It is basically neurons which are arranged in the rod and cone form. So now what will happen? So these are actually having their nerve fibers, that means axon ending will be there. So all the axon ending which is there, so from all these cells, so the axon ending or the nerve fiber is joining here, and this particular spot, what is this? So that we call as a blind spot or a vision or no vision spot also. Okay, what happened? Yeah. Okay, so all the sensory cells of the retina converge. Okay, so this is basically the and bundle together. So this is nerve fibers. Nerve fibers means what? It is actually the axon part. Okay, so from all the sensory cells, what are there? That is all the rods and cones. So from everywhere all these axons are coming. Okay, and they will converge here. So basically cells of retina converge and bundle together and leave the eyeball in the form of a optic nerve. So you can see this one. Okay, here. Okay, so all the sensory cells which are there in the retina region, okay, and the yellow spot also, so all of these are joining together and all the nerve fibers which are rising, so it is joined over here. Then what will happen? It is leaving towards the outside, so that we call as a optic nerve. Okay, so it is a optic nerve. Now moving on to the lens part. So lens is a transparent biconvex crystalline body. So you can see here, so it is mentioned, so you can see this lens. Okay, so this is biconvex now. All right, so this biconvex structure you will find. All right, so this is located, again locations you need to know with respect to lens. So this is a transparent biconvex crystalline body that is located just behind the pupil. So there is iris like this. Okay, so iris is there, and here this particular point, what is this? So this we can mention as a pupil, and then there is this particular lens. Okay, so it is just located just behind the pupil. It contains transparent lens fibers will be there, that is long thin cells which have lost their nuclei. Okay, so there are thinner fibers we can find. So lens is collectively held in position. So how is it held in position? So there is a suspensory ligament. Okay, so suspensory ligament which attaches it to the ciliary body, and ciliary body lies at the junction of the choroid and the iris. Okay, so and is itself a part of a choroid itself. So suspensory ligament which is attaching it to the ciliary body. So basically ciliary body is holding. So let's say here the ciliary body was there. Okay, and here from here also there was a ciliary body which was there. Okay, so suspensory ligament is making sure that it is holding on to this one. So ciliary body and then the suspensory ligament, so they are holding on to this lens in a particular position. Okay, so lies at the junction, and other than that the ciliary body contains the muscles which on contraction and relaxation change the shape of the lens, being somewhat elastic for viewing objects at different distances. So since you know that this ciliary body is basically having a circular muscles, okay, so we saw it in the very beginning itself. It contains the muscles which on contraction and relaxation, what can happen, it will change. Okay, so ciliary body, what is that, so can change the shape of lens. Okay, so it can change the shape of lens. Okay, so since there is a change in shape of lens, that is with respect to the movement that occurs, or the muscular movement that occurs in this particular ciliary body. Okay, so here is the ciliary body, and this one over here is suspensory ligament. Okay, so there is suspensory ligament. So we have labeled almost all the parts in the diagram, okay, for viewing the objects at different. Okay, one second. Yeah, so this is done. So after that the two chambers we will see. So the front chamber, what is there, so lens together with its suspending structure, it divides the inner cavity of the eyeball into two chambers. So there is aqueous chamber in the front of the lens, and the front of the lens, vitreous chamber behind the lens. So aqueous chamber, when we mention, so it is between, basically, so again you need to know the location over here. Okay, so location, so it is the front chamber between the lens and then the cornea. Okay, so this is basically clear watery liquid. Okay, so what it does, it is gonna keep the lens moist and protects it from physical shock, and also it refracts the light. Then when we talk of vitreous chamber, it is actually the largest cavity of the eyeball, and it is also filled with the transparent jelly like thicker fluid called as the vitreous humor. Okay, so vitreous humor will be there. So aqueous chamber will be filled with the aqueous humor, which is basically a clear watery liquid. Then vitreous chamber, when we mention, it is filled with the vitreous humor, which is basically a jelly like thicker fluid will be there. So vitreous humor serves to serve two functions. So keeping the shape of the eyeball, it protects the retina, and its nerve endings are being provided or protected by this particular vitreous humor. Okay, so we will see this diagram now. All right, so this part, what you find here, okay, so between the lens and the cornea, this part, what is there, so this will be filled with the aqueous humor. Okay, so there is aqueous humor over here. All right, and this whole part, what is there, so this will be filled with the vitreous humor. So that is behind the lens, what is there. Okay, so this is vitreous humor. So now you have seen, so this is actually the lens, so I have not mentioned about that, and here there is ligament. Okay, so ligaments are there, so there is a suspensory ligament. Have I labeled it? No, right? So this one is actually the suspensory ligament. Okay, so this is holding on to this structure. So this is the structure of eyeball that you need to draw. So you shouldn't draw this rods and cones. So it is just for your understanding, I have mentioned it there. So rods and cones, so you need to draw this exact diagram. So conjunctiva also you need to mention. So here one more layer, this is outermost covering, what is there, so this conjunctiva also needs to be mentioned. So this is conjunctiva. Okay, so conjunctiva you need to mention the cornea, pupil, aqueous humor, iris, circular ciliary muscles, the vitreous humor, then sclera, choroid, blind spot, optic nerve. Okay, so here maybe I did not mention about the optic nerve. So this one is actually the optic nerve. So this whole thing you need to draw. Okay, so yellow spot, fovea centralis or macula lutea. Okay, so all this. Okay, so everything you need to mention. Yes, any doubts you have here? All right, so before I end the class, let me just say about this. So Unacademy subscription features where you can learn live from the comfort of your home. You will have unlimited access to all the courses. Top educators of India are going to take the classes for you in one platform. There will be regular doubt clearing session. Okay, so exhaustive coverage of a syllabus will be done. Then mentorship and guidance is given. Study material is given. Practice tests are given. Then there is live test series are given. The batch courses, you will have access to batch courses and different courses, I mean different crash courses basically, if you use my referral code VANIYT and take the subscription, where you will be getting 10% off. Okay, so you need to take the plus subscription for this one. For all these benefits you will be taking the plus subscription, and if you use my code VANIYT you are going to get 10% off on your subscription. So this is my code. Okay, and along with this you will have a daily practice section also. Weekly mock test series will be there, live quizzes, then daily MCQ and subjective test series. So you can take benefit of all this one. Okay, so you can enter my educator code to get 10% discount, that is VANIYT. Okay, so you can go for any of these months of subscription based on your convenience. Okay, and it will ask you the code, so you need to enter the code so that you will be getting 10% off. All right, and other than that, so there is a Udan batch, so it is gonna start from 17th of January. So the delivery of language is basically Hindi. All right, and if you are taking a subscription for class 10, so class 11 and 12 will be absolutely free. Okay, so there is Mavericks batch again, which is starting from 17th of Jan itself. The delivery of language is basically English, and if you are taking a subscription for class 10, again it is class 11 and 12 is absolutely free over here. Then there is Param batch. Okay, so this has already started, so you can watch the recordings also. So recordings will be available. Any doubt you get, you can clear it out using the ask a doubt feature as well. So this one is basically delivery of language is Hindi, and here the delivery of language is basically English, that is for champions batch, and this is also an ongoing batch. Okay, so recording will be available for you all. Then Unacademy free special, one second. Yeah, so Unacademy classes I'll be conducting. So these are free classes or special classes which we mentioned. Okay, so there I'll be giving you polls. I'll be sharing the leaderboard to check out your ranks. Okay, so also during a live class itself, you can type in your question, or you can attach an image and you can send it. So educator is going to clear your doubts. So how do you attend my special classes? So all you need to do is download the Unacademy Learners app, open the app and click on get started, and then you need to enter your mobile number as well as OTP. You need to sign up using your email ID. Okay, so what you are basically preparing for, so you need to select, so this is class 6 to 12 you will be selecting, and then you need to select your class. So there is ICSE also which is available, so you need to select class 9 or 10 what you are studying in 11 12. So all these are available. Then you can also choose your preferred language. You can go to the description of this video and click on the special class link as well. So you can also click on notify me. You will get notified 10 minutes before the class begins. Okay, so you can use my code VANIYT in order to unlock the free courses or the special classes that are available. So you can download that one. Anything like so let's say there is Unacademy Prodigy, so different free things will be there. So there you can use this particular code to unlock them. Okay, so VANIYT is one such code. So download the Unacademy Learners app now and try all of these features for free. Okay, so Unacademy, let's crack it. So see you all in the next session. Also next class I'll be discussing about this thing, what is it, the sense organ, that is eye. Okay, so we will be discussing about the eye. See you all, bye bye, thank you so much.